Are y'all ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have you. Shout out to Bumblefoot for that amazing intro music. Hey, you guys can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You can find me, The Cryptid Huntress, at thecryptidhuntress.com and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. Visit my shop, War Woman Goods, and you can find that on Etsy. We have an amazing guest tonight at SOR. I have my friend, Barry Littleton, here tonight. Don't forget that right after our show, After Hours has a great program set up for you guys tonight, and they'll be talking about Skinwalker Ranch and so much more. But let's get to our guest. Barry Littleton is a graduate in psychology, sociology, and ethnic studies from Wichita State University. Barry has, for the last 2 decades, been involved in administration for at-risk youth, including cognitive behavioral modification and managing aggressive behavior. He's also an options stock trader. He's researched and practiced several aspects of the spiritual, metaphysical, and the paranormal. And I have Barry here tonight. We have a really cool discussion. And welcome to the show, Barry Littleton. Salutations.
Hi, Jessica. Salutations. How you doing?
I took your line. Every one of your videos. You always say salutations, and you got your hands. I love it. I love it.
You know, somebody asked why I always said that. I said, you know, when I was a kid, they had that first Charlotte Webb's cartoon that came out. Every time the spider would come down to the pig, she'd go, salutations, and he'd trip out. That's just always remember that's why.
Oh, I love it. And when I hear that word, I think of Barry Littleton. So, you know, it sticks. I love it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I noticed some really nice comments. So I just want to say thank you to your audience and everyone. And I've taken a little cluster attack lately, so it's really nice to see that, and I appreciate it. So,
oh, Barry, we here at SOR love you. The chat loves you. I love you, and you're one of the best guests. I mean, hands down. Okay, and you're my go-to when it comes to any kind of questions about anything paranormal, including Sasquatch and UFOs and aliens. All right, and you and I, we met about a year ago at Camp Disclosure. We were both speakers there, and I had the best time getting to know you. And it's been a great. I mean, it's been a great year. I think we've become pretty good friends.
As I said, you were at that conference. You were the person I wanted to meet the most.
Oh, thank you.
For all the field investigation you've done and everything. I mean, that's incredible. And
oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
It's cool because somebody like me doesn't want to do it. No camping for me. I'm good.
Yeah, but on my end, I really respect what you do because you are really into the study of everything and really researching. I'm just out there experiencing. Okay, now you actually probably know more about what I do than I do. Okay, so it works. We have a good team. Okay, we make a good team. All right. And honestly, tonight, I really wanted to talk to you about a lot of stuff. Okay. I could talk to you all night, but we have an hour. So I figured we'd pack in talking about something that people have been talking to me pretty often about, and that's aliens being demons. And they say that aliens are demons. Now, that's not all I want to talk to you about tonight, but we're going to get there. Okay. We'll get there and talk about that. But, I had a very interesting remote viewing show last night, and it was about the moon and a moon landing. And I know you were interested in talking about something to do with the moon tonight. So let's talk about it.
Cool. First, I know that was a stressful show for you for various reasons, and I appreciate you putting that information out there. And I find it fascinating when people in the remote field start mentioning the moon, how much heat comes on immediately.
It did. It did, actually.
Yeah. I became interested in the moon as a kid based on one of my experiences where actually, this is something I had read first. And it was a book by, I want to say it was Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, one of them. But they were talking, one of the gurus, they were talking about the moon and how we go back to the moon, not just when we sleep sometimes, but how we incarnate through the dark side of the moon and like this device back there. And, later on I started correlating that and taking an interest. I was guided to this book called Somebody Else is on the Moon, just out of elementary. And that, always sticks in your mind. There's a lot of telemetry and pictures on that book that were claiming to seeing machines and various things like that on the moon. Then forwarding so many years, I became very interested in the work of Richard Hoagland, who was on Art Bell quite a bit. And he talked about the dark side of the moon, there being a shard back there that was so many miles off the ground, a crystal palace type of back there, and these crystalline structures that were eroded back there due to being bombarded by meteors from the lack of atmosphere. So it was, that took my interest also. Is that what this thing that the gurus are calling a soul catcher? Is that one of those things back there? Then correlating that a few years later with Ingo Swann's book, Penetration. And, before he passed, that book was retailing something like $450 on Amazon. I saw that. I was like, man, am I seeing this right? I went up to Barnes and Noble and the guy typed it in. He goes, whoa, what is this? And, that was actually a lot about the human and extraterrestrial telepathy, but it was about him remote viewing the moon. It was.
I actually, I'll be honest with my audience tonight. Okay. So when Barry said the heat got put on a little bit, he really did mean that. Now, there are certain things in the remote viewing community that, are taken very seriously. And there's certain things. I mean, I remote view dogman attacks, Bigfoot encounters, all sorts of paranormal weird stuff. But and I've never had a problem. And then I was actually asked to not reveal my data on air last night, and so I was asked to be very careful about what I was talking about, actually. And so if you couldn't tell, I was sweating bullets last night, everybody, if y'all are wondering. And I had to actually change my program around a little bit last night, and that wasn't, it was. I just have a healthy dose of respect, okay, and especially for my life. I know I'm laughing about it now, but this stuff is not a joke. It's really not a joke. Yeah. And for some reason, the moon is something that is very sensitive. Okay. And so I have to be very careful about the whole remote viewing aspect of that.
Something else I can reveal just to back that up. On my YouTube channel, and anyone subscribe, I always need subscribers since I've been shadow banned again. Anyway,
that's the story of my life.
I understand. I mean, it's real information. We don't have to fake it like some people I know that put stuff up and then take it down themselves. This stuff really happens to us. I mean, not that the videos aren't up, but they won't come up on the search and all these other things. Anyway, there's a video on my channel underneath the Ascetti Ranch playlist. Anyway, it's a video I did with John Vivinko, the remote viewer, and we're sitting on a couch talking a little bit, and we'd had a long discussion before that. But during that, I wanted him to talk about his experience on remote viewing the moon and how he got a visit. He talks about on there, he got a visit being told not to do it again, not to view it. Mm-hmm. And I know that John was formerly doing something with remote viewing with the government before he struck out on his own. Can't tell his whole story, I don't know, but really cool guy. And when he told me that, I mean, it really sticks out. And now it happened to you. So it's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's real. People respect that, because it's one thing to delve in information, but when your life is threatened, you have children and stuff. Hey, that's not cool.
I'm not saying my life was threatened. Okay, it wasn't. It did. But it is very real, and like I said, I have a very healthy dose of respect, and I do this for fun. I'm not getting paid to do any of this stuff. I'm doing these things to put information out there and to try to get to the root of these mysteries that we hear about. And but there's just some things that are, I guess they say they're off limits. Okay. And whoever they are. But I went ahead and put the show together and everything went great. It was a little uncomfortable though.
Yeah, I understand. Taking that step forward, and I appreciate you doing this and talking about this. I think it's really healthy and it's cool. But contrasting that with the moon and the people that have remote view, several ones that describe the beings there, including John and maybe yourself, I don't know, describe how the beings can perceive them when they're remote viewing. I find that very interesting. And not just that, but the type of humanoid slash not even quite a gray. It's some type of a different humanoid. You know, if you saw, I mean, so I don't know, I can't explain it. I haven't seen it, but I find it fascinating when looking at that, and, you know, kind of taking that and correlating that with Edgar Mitchell. I think you mentioned him yesterday. And something about Edgar Mitchell is he's connected to Ray Hernandez and what used to be called the Foundation for Research for Extraterrestrial Encounters.
Wow.
Under Edgar Mitchell. And it's fascinating because I showed you a book that Edgar Mitchell had done that talks about them being trained in remote viewing before going to the moon.
Yeah. Now you were saying the astronauts were actually trained in remote viewing.
That's what he said in that book.
Buzz Aldrin, and yeah, I mean, that's something I had not heard before. I thought that was pretty interesting.
The story that I'll just hit this real quickly because I think this ties into what we're wanting to talk about initially.
Absolutely.
There was a story that was told to me by Ray Hernandez, who's good friends with Edgar at that point before he passed away, and they created that organization. But he called it the barbecue effect. That when the modules coming back to Earth, it turns so that it doesn't burn. And he called that kind of the barbecue effect to a degree. And
because that's radiation, right?
Yeah. Well, the heat, that and the heat too, the sheer heat. Yeah. But he described looking in the window and seeing the stars starting to swirl, and how there's not like as much space between the stars when you're out of the Earth's atmosphere, and how when the swirling, he started becoming almost I'm gonna say enlightened, and almost like any release, and how he felt that every one of these stars was connected to a cell of his body. I think that's the way Ray had described it to me, and I think that's an incredible deal when dealing with that and what the work that he did, Edgar Mitchell did with Rudy Shields, who I worked with a little bit too, the astrophysicist, and he had talked a lot about the MACOs, magnetically eternally collapsing objects, what we call black holes, really, but them being something different, them being actually devices that are hard drives of the universe. That the information, the MACO itself, is inside the black hole, and when things go into the black hole itself, it starts to become not just the accretion disk, but it wraps around the MACO and becomes like what we would call the Akashic Records. Okay, the record.
That's wild.
And that can only be accessed consciously. And what's the trip is you wouldn't think of brain waves and black holes being correlated, but they are. Okay, and in a way that these black holes function as what they call now the quantum hologram. So when something goes into the black hole itself, it produces a copy on the surface, the information exact copy. So that's also being called the quantum hologram, and that's going to be like not just the accretion disk, but that's going to be the universe itself, the records of it being wrapped around it. So the way we can access that is consciously, and something I want to say for. Try to shut up, but the universe, the creator creates conscious waves, and the quantum physicists are talking about that a lot right now. The conscious waves, and the conscious waves of the universe occur in two ways: helical and spherical. Yeah. And in taking that and correlating to our human bodies, and we have in our bodies these things called microtubules. But for what we're talking about, we're going to relegate that to actually the brain microtubules. This is stuff people can look up, and that actually makes the neuron network of our brains. And when taking what I just told you about the quantum hologram and the black hole, we go into the mirror network, mirror neurons. And right now, when I'm telling you something, if I tell you a story about my contact, you can start seeing it yourself. That is the mirror neuron network working. Okay, that's the same as the quantum hologram we just talked about. So for those of us that are having experiences, and the way we access these MACOs is only consciously. When I asked somebody like Rudy Shields, I was like, well, how fast do you think the speed of thought is? And he gave me a couple experiments and the quote of about right around 100,000 times the speed of light.
Good grief.
Yeah, so that changes everything. So we talked about these brain neurons and these mirror network and the micro. They occur. They're actually two forms: spherical and helical. So that's how we access this consciously. I hear so many people talking about the Akashic Records, which most of us.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, there's a lot of us. I heard about it through Edgar Casey when I read his books when I was a kid. That's where I heard about it. Anyway, but we hear so many people saying, I deal with that. But what are they really? I just told you. And it's not my research. It's what someone like Rudy Shields, who was collecting the data from the observatories, the data, that's what it's saying. So that's a whole other thing anyway. So it's just a way for us to think more of how space is conscious, and especially these black holes and how everything is connected. Now, taking what I just said and telling that to what we talked about the moon. When I had an experience in the 6th grade, I called the acid rain experience, which I won't go into, but it was one that crossed the boundary for me from what was happening at night, which was very real and physical, but couldn't prove it. You'd just be burned out the next day, but you won't tell anybody about it. But this one, it crossed when there was no doubt. It infiltrated my daily life. Okay, so this experience leads to what this being had told me is insectoid. And when you're really truly in the presence of a non-human, keeping it 100, it's a trip. It'll blow you away. But some of them having this higher level, they are emitting this energy that's very loving, and it nullifies some of the fear. So that's one thing. And I've kind of correlated some of this with what's called Shakti Pat in pranayama yoga. They call Shakti Pat. The guru would touch the apprentice, and they have a kundalini release, and all their chakras return. Okay, sometimes being in the presence of some of these non-humans that are of a higher level, like higher vibrationally, spiritually, these other ones, not the lower ones we hear about, it creates something that feels like similar to a Shakti Pat, I think. Very
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, so that's something there, and that helps nullify some of the fear. Just like some of the craft have this woo, 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 woo vibration.
Yeah.
That nullify some of your fear too. It's quite interesting, but taking that, correlating that with what we were discussing, and I'll shut up because I know you probably go somewhere else with this.
Oh, no, I'm enjoying this.
They described to me during this experience, this net, when I'm asking, where are you from? And they're telling me things that I can barely understand, but I thought I was heavy, so they're still laying it on me,
Yeah.
But when getting to this solar system, they talked about these planets that they were jumping points into our solar system that were outside of Pluto, which I know now are called trans-Neptunian objects. But then they started describing how there's a field of energy in this solar system that is very dangerous for them. It makes a density. Also, I think it has something to do with maybe electrical too. And when we come through that, we incarnate here, we hit that field, and it does something to the orgone field of our soul, our spirit, and it wipes us clean of our soul life memories. Then we incarnate here, devoid through this soul catcher in the dark side of the moon or whatever, and we incarnate here as immortal souls, devoid of soul life memories. That's crap. That's
with amnesia, right?
Yeah,
total amnesia.
You get here, you get caught in this reincarnation cycle, and you may have reincarnated 10, 15 times. You can't remember it. That sucks.
15,000 times, like some of us.
That sucks. And I've done enough work with earthbound spirits that I've dealt with some earthbound spirits that are obsessed with another spirit that is reincarnated as somebody else.
Yeah.
They're still trapped here on Earth. So that tells you something, Okay, I'll be quiet now. Hopefully I addressed part of it, correlating that into how this type of a net with the divine field that we just talked about, which is within these makos and other things, but there is a divine field, how some of these civilizations may be beings that are advanced type 5, type 6 civilizations that no longer exist, but they're recorded in that Akashic record, in that mako.
Wow. And
they can still access us through the divine field and our brains.
Wow.
And you've been inundated with nothing but grays, reptilians, anal probes, yada, yada, yada. And then when you're somebody that's a gifted person and you're about to have an experience, okay, it starts getting actually tainted by your own brain and your own power of your perception, and turning what might be divine field beings into something negative. Saying you're up there being experimented by grays. We're that strong, and you have others that will come in to help. And then you've got these other things like this SSP and other stuff that has inundated so much everybody through the media that it actually affects those that might be having positive encounters. I'm not saying that SSP and all that stuff doesn't happen. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to discredit anyone having those experiences. But I'm saying when we start dealing with these concepts of how the brain interacts with space, these craft and everything else, we have to really evaluate that, taking that all the way into hypnosis, real hypnosis that comes through the media. Okay. And I mean, and it doesn't take much.
MK Ultra. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I know because when I encourage people to get hypnosis if they have missing time from their encounters like me. Mine were physical, and it's like being on a field trip. Then the further you get away from the field trip, the event horizon, the more it starts becoming, you know, hazy. Yeah. It's weird. It's fragmentized is probably a better word. You know, and for me, it was a vibrational difference between the beings and myself. Yeah. But anyway, and the craft and all that. But anyway, so this is very serious. I just want people to think about that, and then taking that forward to how people can think that they're demons too. Is you have some of these beings that, especially not like the ones I'm talking about, that are being encountered that have the ability to use not just virtual reality technology against us, where we can't see what's going on, but they can use the optical nerves to project things into our mind's eye. That's serious, okay, to where we can't tell the difference. We can't see them for what they are. And when I did my regressions, all right, I did a couple of regressions very deep just to see if I was suffering from any screen memories. I didn't think I was, but there's ways to get through that. Your subconscious has recorded everything. I wasn't, but that's how serious I took that. You know. Anyway, I'm done. We'll talk about maybe take us in the direction you were wanting. And how it might be a part of what we're talking about tonight with this whole thing of our aliens, demons. You know, the others that will project this in your mind's eye, and the things that they're using is the cover of UFOs and the cover of. But the truth is, these are demonic entities like the incubus and succubus, things that attack you at night. You know, your energy field, your orgone energy, your prana.
Yeah. And see, and that's the kind of experience that I've had, actually. I've had 2 experiences with ETs, and it was both at night. Okay. Well, I probably had many, but, you know, when I was younger, I thought they were ghosts. Okay. So because my mind, all I knew were ghosts. Okay. And I'd wake up with ghosts standing around my bed at night, you know, when I was a young woman. Okay. And so I totally understand where that comes from, you know, and how, you know, I thought they were ghosts then. Now I've had experience where I see ETs. But how am I to know that those are actually ETs? And the fact that our media does pump fear into our psyche every day, all day, every day, from the radio to the television to movies to, you know, the internet. You know, you and I are shadow banned everywhere. You know, however, the programs that are pretty terrible, in my opinion, are the ones being pumped out there, you know, with stuff that's just a bunch of fear-based stuff and things that are a little inappropriate, you know, on the kids' channels and stuff like that. So, you know, I've got some stories behind that, but I'll save those for another day.
You know, this is a time where the lines are drawn in the sand, and those that are representing dark forces, they won't acknowledge me for the most part. They might attack my character or something like that, but they, for the most part, won't acknowledge me. It's like I don't exist. And, you know, you're on the same line. You're very much representing light forces, and you've got a good energy about you. And you're not interested in any of that negative stuff that comes along with this whole stuff, this field. You know, you're not even about that. And that's good. So eventually they're going to try to shut down that light too. It's just a matter of time, you know, so they start messing with you. But, you know, but we go on, we continue. March, soldier on.
Right. We don't have a choice, right? Yeah. Well, the thing about the ET contact that a lot of people have, you know, I want to say that a lot of people feel it's very negative. Okay. And in my case, it was neutral. It was very neutral. I was not scared. But I didn't feel a whole lot of love coming off those things either. I never have. Well, I can't say I never have, because when I thought they were ghosts, they would telepathically communicate with me and stuff. And it was very loving, actually. And so, and, you know, and I know a lot of people have nights where they wake up and there is something laying on top of them and it's trying to choke them and you know, all that kind of stuff. So, they've become known as demons to a lot of people. And it's not just very religious people. Okay. It's a lot of people. claim they're demons. And that's why I really got excited about your video that you put out about the tricksters pretending to be aliens, Barry. And, because I was like, man, it really kind of blew my mind, because I was like, wow, I've been hearing about this a lot with people calling aliens demons, but how do we even know they're aliens? How do we know they're demons? Okay. So, but I think you're right. A lot of this stems from the media and where our minds are. A lot of people are living in fear constantly and on high alert all the time. So, yeah.
Our discernment is key in this. And number two would be, I mentioned Ray Hernandez and that foundation. They did the most comprehensive research study on contactees/experiencers that's been done. They're putting out 2 books now, and they're working on the second one. So it's very good. I myself took like the first 2 ones, and it took so long. I was like, so most people lie and aren't even going to take time. But it's very interesting. And when looking at the results of the study, when you got several thousand people that took the study, and that when looking at positive versus negative contact experiences, all the graphs are incredibly skewed towards positive contact. And that's not what you expect to hear. For crying out loud, not even their questions about the reptilians is what we should have heard. That should have been all negative stuff, except for I've heard things about the Saurians and then of Earth versus the Dracos and things like that, but I haven't experienced reptilians, so I don't know. All right. But by the same token, that study showed something completely skewed differently. Not all positive, but a lot of them unknown or just uncertain due to the fact that encountering a 9-foot bipedal reptilian crocodile scared.
That's a little scary.
Yeah. Anyway, just food for thought on that. Sorry, I probably got off.
Well, Barry, I have something to add to that. But first of all, YJ Overlander in the chat said that today he had something to tell you and a question. He said, today I read that former CIA Jim Simivan doesn't want people to tell our children what UFOs are. Did you see that? No,
I haven't seen that yet. But that's interesting. I mean, that's been like a lifetime deal of concealing from the public of what these things are, what are on board, how many different, where they're coming from. It's constant, and that's not something that should be hidden right now, because the thing I've always heard is, our society can't hold it. It can't handle it. It's going to break down religion. It's going to mess up this and that. I think everyone listening to us right now can handle it.
Yeah,
it's not,
I do too.
It's just a way of more of this dark energy down here that actually rules this planet. And it leads you to wonder, like, when you hear things like that, is this a prison planet? Where, you've got people like, you've got souls that are angelic that maybe did something against the empire. They got wiped clean and sent to a prison planet. And you've got others that are criminogenic factor that were wiped clean and sent to a planet also. And you've got on this prison planet both. Is that what this place is?
Interesting. I mean, I feel like it.
I mean, I just judge this by right now. The biosphere is being destroyed. We've got earthbound spirits trapped here. It's hideous. I just got through doing something with earthbound spirits that I relayed that affected me deeply, that you saw. I mean, there's so many down here. It's horrible. Anyway, back to the gentleman's, the person's question. That I think that's what it's got to do more with just suppression of information and awareness. Because when we were previously a quote unquote type 1 civilization, when we start using the parent star as our main power source, we're getting close to that now. We're not quite there. We're still on fossil fuels right now. But I think these things was when we were a part of the galactic trade. You saw maybe light beings that were giving lectures or something, or extraterrestrials walking around like you see on First Contact. Something different was going on then as far as us being part of a galactic trade. And they don't want that to happen again. They got to keep everything suppressed. And what he just mentioned, that they just mentioned, was a part of that. Hope that answers that. Yeah.
Barry, we have another question from Anonymous Rex. Why do you think we are forging towards disclosure now more than ever? Thank you.
I think a major reason for it is, one, the internet. Too many people are talking now. Global communication's gone crazy. When I stepped forward, I didn't want to in 2014. I kind of got pushed into it. But the main thing I want to do is try to communicate with other contactees, other experiencers, because I know I'm not special. maybe unique, but we're all unique because all of our experiences are different. But I knew that I always had a theory that like maybe 80% of our population, 70% were contactees and didn't know it. And so far, nothing that I've experienced disproves that. I've had contact with experiences from all over the world, been blessed. And they have, so many different experiences, some physical, some astral, other things. People like you, they're just a magnet for the paranormal.
A little bit. Yeah. My whole team is, absolutely. Yeah, it's really great to be able to connect with other experiencers. I never even looked at it that way. It was just normal everyday life for me, getting contact from something,
But when we were younger, no one was talking about it. And if you did, risk being called crazy or, oh, they're into that stuff. Now people call it woo-woo. What is woo?
I know.
Is that the new scenario word now? Is that the thing?
It is. It is, especially here at Spaced Out Radio. That's our word. We ride on the woo train every night. All aboard. We're on the woo train tonight, everybody. Oh, Barry.
I think that and the increasement in global communication, along with the awareness itself and whatever shift we're going through consciously, I think all that is leading to what they're calling disclosure. But what I see, it looks just like a joke to me. The same little wobbly things you see. Oh, we admit that we saw that. As what? They're not really letting go the stuff of like what Earth Files is talking about, the deep stuff like that. Yeah. That's what we need to hear about. That's going to change our society. Kind of like First Contact. When the Vulcans came, everything changed. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I feel it's kind of disheartening knowing that we potentially could put a whole lot of information out there, but then there's higher ups that make sure that you keep your mouth shut, okay, about stuff, which is it's very disheartening, okay, and I don't know, we're just not totally there yet, I guess, where we can just freely talk about stuff. The people who have the information, people who are able to talk about it and they're very brave souls and very brave because their lives are in danger, okay. A lot of them. Now, Barry, what do you think about sleep paralysis? Patrick is in the chat would like to know.
Hey, I just saw that question. It popped up here. I saw that one. Hey, there's two things about that. One is sometimes when we have a dream body and a physical body, and when you kind of put your consciousness shifts over into the dream body and you're consciously aware, you might have something that feels like a physical paralysis at a point, because you're still looking to move in the body and it's slightly different until you can train yourself. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I think that is probably even more prevalent is the type of beings I just mentioned. There's incubus and succubus that attack people when they're sleeping. They're inorganic, negative inorganic beings that attack people and your soul energy when you're sleeping. And most of the time, people that encounter that feel like they're being held down, suffering from sleep paralysis. And often the incubus and succubus are of a sexual nature. Mm-hmm. So that's just something to think of there. And, this place is ridden with earthbound spirits and negative inorganic beings are just running around down here like it ain't nothing. So, I mean, it doesn't take much to catch an attachment if you're not protected, or for them to attack you when you're sleeping. That's the one time we're closest to their frame of existence.
Yeah. And also, what I've encountered, I've seen with my own eyes is when people are intoxicated on alcohol or any kind of drug, excuse me, a lot of times that's when spirits will attach to people. They'll have dark clouds, looming over their heads and things like that. People that are sensitive to it can see that. I mean, you can actually see it around people who are intoxicated severely. Okay. So we have to really take care of ourselves. Okay. And definitely get grounded and protect our energy fields. And by energy fields, I did upload a couple of pictures tonight, Barry. On the video that I was so excited that you would put out about the tricksters being aliens, you had this morphogenic field, those pictures up there. And you talked a lot about energy fields. Okay. And so we actually have these same diagrams when we're learning remote viewing too, by the way. We do have an energy field, and our energy affects everything around us and everyone around us, and everybody around us affects us. Okay. So we have to be aware of that.
And two things. One is all that collectively the morphogenic field is everyone starts when we start collectively coming together also, I think that's something to kind of keep in mind about that. And also something I really want to emphasize is that our aura, our biofield is our immune system against attachments. It's important to know that. All right. The aura is our immune system against earthbounds, against negative inorganic beings and all that. So keeping your aura very powered up and blessed and godlike helps, as far as Christ consciousness and really keeping it pure, it helps in protecting yourself. It's not a joke. And it's hard to remember to protect ourselves once or twice a day. But it's really important down here.
It is. Well, I'm a hermit, so I try not to have to go anywhere to protect myself out in public. So, but Barry, we have a question from Cryptoville. Okay. Hey, Cryptoville. Does Barry agree that demonic possession is on the rise? What are your thoughts on that?
The problem is my view kind of this being a prison planet. It's like, has it always just been there? It's, but right now it seems that just negativity is on the rise. And I hear a lot of people saying that, it's being beat. It's being beat by the light, yada, yada, yada. Look, I'm all about the light, but I'm not seeing that on this planet. All right. This place is in darkness. A lot of it. I mean, maybe not all of it. There's a lot of light here too, but I mean, it's more dark here. And the demonic thing is that it doesn't have a home set place always. It roams around, and I see these strategies that the negative forces are using for demonic possession that is involving attacking people's heart chakra. And when you have people like us, a lot of these people listening that know how to shield themselves, like I just said, what they do is they start creating all these different vector attachment or attacks on your shields. If you're a geek like me and you like Star Trek, we got the Enterprise and you've got like 5 Romulan warbirds around it, and they're all firing, and stressing the shields. And they do that to this. These negative forces do that to us through a main one is financial stresses. Okay, come at you through your loved ones, your marriage, things like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Creating problems in your house. I've been to so many haunted houses.
Been there.
Plumbing problems. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got spirits trying to get these ghosts trying to get people out of that house, so they start making plumbing problems. You got all this goop coming out of your plumbing.
Ooh, I've had that happen too.
Yeah, that doesn't work. So they move over to the garage and get in the liquids of your car and mess up your transmission. Stuff like that cause you a lot of financial stress. Getting your loved ones. Okay, addiction is another big one. These are things how they really attach and get onto us that dim our auric field. So anyway, but
that's serious. This is the stuff that they should teach us in school. Okay.
I would say and to Mr. Overlander, I would say that it's definitely on the rise because the shift in consciousness is happening. They're trying to stop it, whatever it is. And people are like lines drawn in the sand. One would be, I put out a video called Bad Advice. And it's about these people that are well known saying, don't go into the light. It's a trick. You'll reincarnate. Yeah. But what they're actually causing people to be trapped as earthbound spirits. I can't tell you how many spirits I've had to cross over, and you do that by crossing into the light. And normally I do it with the love of God. The love and the light is connected. There's no way around it. I don't care what these people are saying. You know what I mean? So
So there's people saying, don't go to the light.
Yeah. And I got 3 things of people saying that. Number one, the criteria I have. Number one, are they mediums themselves? Or first, number one, I'm sorry, have they died? Like me, I died. I had a horrible accident, not something I would care to repeat. Okay, the first thing is, are they a near-death experience themselves? Are they an NDE survivor? Number 2, are they a medium? All right, do they have the ability to communicate and deal with those that have passed? Okay, and number 3 is going to be, if they have, what is their casework that they've done crossing over spirits and dealing with earthbound spirits and ghosts? How many have they crossed over? What is their whole casework on that? What can they tell us about that? Do they know about what I'm about to tell you now? That as a medium, a lot of the ghosts that are on the outside of the energy's field, I can communicate with and cross them over a different way. I'm not talking about the ones like that. I'm talking about the ones that are inside people's energy field and so entwined with the aura and things that they express themselves as negative behavior patterns.
Wow.
Normally,
That would be an attachment, right? That's a spirit attachment. Okay.
Earthbound spirit in that case.
Yeah.
And normally it's a behavior that kept them earthbound here, which might be an addiction or something.
Yeah.
So that starts coming out in the person that is joined with this earthbound spirit. They start becoming an alcoholic or becoming a drug addict when they weren't before. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry. I hope I answered that question without going way into left field like I said to do. So.
No, but it's all connected, Barry, and so it's wonderful. And I've never seen so many questions in the chat tonight. You guys are awesome. I'm having fun with this.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, we have a lot of good questions. Now, this is Cryptoville again. He wants to know, do you think they're attacking the heart chakra?
Oh, sorry. I didn't finish that. Sorry, I got too excited.
It's okay. I don't remember this being in the first question. This is a different question, I think.
When they stress your shields, like I talked about, like the Romulans stressing the Enterprise, what they do is for people that are shielded like us, okay, it creates these little cracks. And then what they do is that gives just enough for them to slide in, and they immediately attack the heart chakra. Ooh. Because that's where we're most vulnerable. So people start acting funny. Stuff that you love starts turning against you. That's the way to get through the shields of somebody that's protected. If they can just create these little cracks, they can get into your heart chakra. That's the most effective place. So that's why they're attacking the heart chakra.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
That's terrifying.
It's easy when our loved ones don't know how to protect themselves. It's easy to start doing things with them and influencing them unbeknownst to themselves. You know, somebody just made a comment, I think it was Donna Spencer, if it said right, I'm trying to use my photographic memory, that asked about they can influence your family members. Very true. Yes. Very true. But also remember that some of these things can be passed to us through our family members. And how that happens, not just the heart chakra, but we have trauma. This can be looked up psychologically and physically. Our traumas are stored organically in our muscles and in our organs. Certain organs store certain negative emotions and traumas. So that's a place for them to join, for negative spirits to join, for earthbounds to join, is at these places. All right. And in that way, we can have this passed to us also from our family members. It could be an ancestral curse. It could be trauma that they pass to us through these organs. That's very real.
Oh my gosh.
If we don't take time to remove that trauma, it can affect everything. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's kind of like the deal I will use a lot, especially when releasing earthbound spirits from people, is it's like having a thorn embedded in the flesh. Okay. And once it's in there, it's causing inflammation, irritation, all sorts of stuff. But once you actually remove the thorn, the healing starts immediately. Okay. And when it's completed, you may have a nasty scar there and you see the thorn on your desk. You say, man, that thing sucked. And you'll know what it was. You can examine it from the distance, but it's no longer embedded in the flesh, causing the irritation, causing the inflammation. Different thing you can examine from the distance. That's a way to remove trauma from us. You know what I mean? It's important. It can keep us here as earthbound spirits. We can pass trauma to our children. These are things we just don't want. And I think I said on your show last time I was blessed to be here, man, trauma walks around this planet like a member of the population, like other member of the population.
And we've all got it. We've all experienced it. Yeah. And it's really sad because there are people who have been traumatized a lot, and very abusive people that I've experienced in my life that have been they were traumatized from childhood, and so that bled into their adulthood, and it wreaks havoc on everybody. Okay. And so until that gets healed, unfortunately at a stage in my life, I've had to cut a lot of just people out of my life just to get away from that kind of stuff, because I've been on a healing journey. Okay. And it makes a world of difference. Okay. Big time. So yeah, Barry, how important is it, do you think, to talk about positive encounters? Okay, getting back to the aliens versus demons thing, and us tricksters pretending to be aliens and stuff like that, and a lot of people do have positive experiences when it comes to abductions and encounters with what could be called aliens. Is it important to talk about the good positive experiences?
Extremely positive. because like that study that I talked about from the CCRA Modality Free Foundation, it was incredibly skewed. Those of us that have positive contact, it way outweighed the negative. The negative was a small part, but you would expect to see that because of the media. And once again, the media entrenches our brains, and that can affect the type of contact we're having. All right, we're that strong. We're starting to manifest things. All right, and it may be higher beings trying to contact you, but you're overwhelming it. So it's very important to emphasize the contact. Not that the negative doesn't happen, it does, but it's not the majority. And if we look at the media, we would think it is, and therefore most people think that they must be, this doesn't go along with Christianity or my religion, so they're demons.
Yeah. Man, I know. So it's not all bad. And so we need to be more positive or think more positively about some things and try not to look at it but it's terrifying, Barry, no matter what, to a lot of people, especially if they've never experienced things. Like you and I have been experiencing things pretty much our entire lives. Okay. Probably for lifetimes. Okay. But for a lot of people, this could be brand new, and it could be terrifying to wake up in the middle of the night and there is somebody standing over your bed. Okay. So, it's easy for us to say, well, it could be a positive experience, but even if it's a positive experience, it could still be really scary. What advice do you have to people, for people who experience something like that for the first time?
Well, first is, don't be afraid to explore your own consciousness concerning it. If you're missing time or something, I hear somebody goes, oh, hypnosis doesn't count, don't do that. Who are they to tell you don't experiment with your own consciousness? So explore that. Don't be afraid to do things with hypnosis, to research more about what is going on. And right now, what we just talked about, you've got the ability to reach out and talk to others in forums like this that are contactees like yourself or know something. So, and that's what I would say going forward. It's something that is different between dealing with this now and 25 years ago. You know what I mean? Or further back than that. So yeah.
And now, so you do hypnotherapy, right? I mean, you do regressive therapy, and is that something that you recommend pretty often for when people have experiences? Because I've had a lot of experiences, and I have kind of had a half regressive therapy session with a friend of mine, and I didn't get too deep into it. People like myself can be a little hesitant to do that because I may not be ready to hear what happened to me, in an abduction experience. Is that pretty common?
Well, you're looking at one right here. I went for years being anti-hypnosis guy because I was a conscious experiencer, a physical conscious experiencer. I wasn't like Travis Walton, and my mind wasn't totally wiped clean and all that stuff. Yeah. But the truth is, I was missing about over 18 hours, almost 20 hours of missing time during 4 physical experiences, 3 of which someone else was there and they're missing time too. Okay. So that, and then seeing that and knowing you were actually there. And then the further you get away from it, starting getting fuzzy and stuff like that, that's a major problem and a major discouraging factor by all means, so going forward and exploring your own consciousness in that way is very beneficial, and it can be in a multiple ways. It comes talking to other people as well. So, yeah.
Well, I think it just helps to talk to people, period, about it. It really does. I actually did remote view some missing time that my friend Tex had a couple of weeks ago on my remote viewing show. And, and that was, I think it was a little, I'm not going to say it was upsetting to him, but I did see that he had been, I guess it was kind of what you could call an abduction experience. And so, I had to tell him ahead of time. I did not want to tell him that news on air because I felt like he needed time to process that. Okay. And so, this can be hard to process. Okay. All of these experiences. And especially when you are thinking these are demons trying to come after you while you're sleeping at night. Okay. We've already got enough going on in this world. The last thing we need are demons surrounding our bed at night. Okay. So, but yeah, I think a lot of the missing time that people experience has something to do with this.
Something I wanted to say too. For me, I meant to finish it out with this. I apologize. With that, concerning that, is that I got, like, when I learned to do hypnosis, I studied it a long time. When I actually got workshop certified for it, I was simply doing it strictly in a selfish fashion to try to self-hypnotize myself so I could recover the missing memories and the time. And I couldn't do it. I can do other people, but I can't hypnotize myself. I had to go actually, sit down and have somebody else do me and actually target the missing time that I was looking for. And also trying to see too, I've had some clients too that have screen memories that we have to actually get through, and that's a whole other issue. But anyway, just to say that I want to wrap up with that. That's part of the can come along with this telepathic hypnosis and some things that some of these negative beings do to us, whether they're extraterrestrial or demonic, whatever the case might be. They project these different false scenarios, environments around us, virtual reality they might be using. Some of them can do it consciously. Okay, so in that way you get a screen memory that makes you think that, oh, I've seen this beautiful crystalline ship in the sky. But the truth is it was some type of a metal craft that had negative entities on board that might even be non-physicals. You know what I mean? So that's something there, but they put a screen memory there so you're seeing something else. Or these flowers, I keep seeing these flowers and things like that the person has to go past, screen memory.
Oh man, I had a screen memory. Yeah.
Oh, what was it like?
Yeah, well, it was a dream. What I thought it was having a dream after I saw it. Actually, I'm gonna flash a picture on the screen of my experience. Okay, I don't think I've shown this publicly before. Okay, I drew a picture after I'd had an experience one night with an ET, and it's kind of dark. You can't see it very well, but it's my son. My son had gotten in the bed with me beside me, and that's me and my son in the bed, and there's a big, gigantic entity standing by my bed. Okay. And it's kind of hunched over and its hands are up. That's exactly what I saw. Okay. And I'm going to take it down. It's a little creepy. Okay. It had on a, yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you what type of energy did you get from that? Because to me, that looks like a very negative being. It looks like one of the hooded.
It was a hood.
Or was it a mantis? What
it was a mantis. Yeah. It was like a praying mantis. Yeah. That was in my room one night. Yes. And so
was it human size or bigger?
It was huge. It was very tall. It was almost as tall as my ceiling. Yeah.
Well, you're one of those.
I don't know what it is. We'll have to talk after the show.
The change. Okay, go ahead. Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we only have a couple minutes left, so I just wanted to say, I had a screen memory of being like the Wizard of Oz, and I had a whole bunch of munchkins telling me that I was beating up their mare, and I needed to stop beating up their mare because I was going to get them all in trouble. Okay, and so to me, I believe that was probably a screen memory. Okay, because there were little people all around me, which I'm assuming those were probably grays or some kind of aliens. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, that's one of my stories there. So. Yeah. Hey, world exclusive. Everybody got to see the picture I drew of my alien, okay, in my room. So, yeah.
I feel that I've interrupted you a few times. Did you get to ask what you want to ask?
No.
Questions? I got kind of excited during
It's been perfect. No, absolutely, Barry. It's been perfect. It really has been. You've been wonderful again tonight.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I was really worried about that. Like, man, I think I got you carried away.
No, this is great. Well, listen, I mean, we talked about everything I wanted to talk about tonight, and we had such wonderful questions in the chat tonight that we couldn't resist. So yeah, we
really
had
nice
we had a
audience.
lot.
Thank you much for the audience. It's really
Thank you. I have the best audience. I really do. The best chat there is, and yeah, we have some great people that watch SOR every week and every weekend. So some great moderators and all that. And Barry, I really hope you'll come back. I mean, honestly, I try to have you on once a month, and so I hope you'll come back next month because we never run out of stuff to talk about, do we?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes I worry that I just drowned you talking too much. So that's off air,
It's fine. Yeah, we'll talk some more. Hey, I talk to you on a regular basis. So like I said, anytime I have a question about something, I get in touch with you. So yeah. Well, Barry, where can people find you? Do you have a website, or I believe I have your YouTube channel up here. That
Yeah. My YouTube's under Barry Littleton. I do a lot of work there. I do even more on Patreon, and Barry Littleton on Patreon. I have a website, barrylittleton.com. It actually just will show you links to my other stuff. I haven't done a lot there. It's still a forever project, that website is. But YouTube is a good place to find me. My email is barrylittleton13@gmail.com. I think I've got it sorted out now to where I actually get my emails and I'll spammed out. So.
Okay. Well, you do a great job, and I want everybody in here to please go and subscribe to Barry's YouTube channel if you have not already, because it is just chock full of the best videos on Bigfoot. We didn't even get into Bigfoot tonight at all, Sasquatch, and and I was wanting to relate the screen memories even with cryptids and Sasquatch. In addition to the aliens, they're able to put. See, it seems as though they're able to put screen memories in our minds as well. Okay, so. Or maybe there's a connection. Maybe the ET standing behind them. We just can't see them. Okay. And they're the ones doing the screen memories. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, we have, there's so much. It's such a weird world. There's no telling.
I'll tell you, whatever it was that gave me that communication, it was a much stronger telepath than me. So screen memories don't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, it's something. There's something going on. I don't know, but hey, we're trying to figure everything out. Barry, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. It was such a pleasure. Thank you. Okay, all right, Barry. I'm going to take you down. If you want to stick around, we can talk for a second after the show. But thank you for being here tonight. Okay. Have a great night. All right. Bye, Barry. All right, everybody. That was awesome. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. Don't forget that right after this show, you guys can join Grant and the After Hours crew. They're going to take you on an incredible journey. They're going to be talking about Skinwalker Ranch, so you guys don't miss that. Tomorrow night on Off the Trails, my guest is William Nighthawk, and we're going to be talking about dogman, skinwalkers, and all things that go bump in the night. I can't wait to see y'all there. But for now, I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm headed off the trail. I will see you guys tomorrow night. So you guys have a good night. Bye.